white stripes, pink underwear. Sheriff Joe, thank you. And they house most of them to Durango, and then they house me and Wildman to Towers, separate Towers in Towers Jail. And that's how the journey started from there. And that's when we just got into the mix then with all the prisoners, and I got a whole load of stories from there. So, Sammy, what about you going through the horseshoe?
Yeah, well, when I went in, I was in, with the pink underwear with Joe Arpaio. I did an interview with him. The green bologna sandwiches, all of these things. I had maybe 5 fights. I fought all the time in there. There was one kid that didn't want me to sit with them. There was a guy who was black and Spanish mixed. And when I finally got out into the tier, he had a seat and he pointed over here. I was coming over with my tray. The guy said, "No, you can't sit at our table." So he went to get up. I put my hand on his leg. I pushed him down. I said, "No, relax. I got this. He's right." And I got up and I was walking out. I hit this guy with the tray, square in the face. He went down. I pulled his shirt over his. I was stomping him, beating him. Boom, in the hole. Then they found out what happened. They let me back into this pod. And I got up I was on the second floor. And as soon as they opened my door, everybody was out already. They opened my door. I says, "Anybody give a where I sit?" Nobody said a word. I came in. And then I had a few beefs in there. And every time I got into a beef, I had a fight, and I did what I had to do. I was determined when I was in there, I'm gonna kill somebody, or I'm gonna die myself. But I'm not gonna back up. No matter who it is, I'm gonna have that reputation. Not that I'm Sammy the Bull, but that I'm gonna fight. I don't give a who you are, how big you are. I don't care about nothing. I had that attitude. I got strings of tattoos and stuff. I didn't have any on me, but when I went in there, I started tattooing up. Let him go out. And then put him, my hat on, and said, I'm just going to go to war. Wherever it comes, it comes. Wherever it goes, it goes. So I did have about, all them years, about 5, 6, 7 fights, tough ones. And, but nobody bothered me after that. They knew that this guy's not going to stop. You want to stop me? You got to kill me. Or knock me cold. You got to kill me. And then I had that little bit of a reputation in there, and nobody bothered me. And I got along with Mexican mafia guys. I got along with Familia. I got along with the AB guys, and nobody bothered me. So I mean, they weren't allies. We became friends. We played chess together. We played ball together. And if I was getting up to fight, 2, 3, 4 guys would get up with me. I didn't ask them to, but they did. So nobody bothered me no more. When you talk about our family is about the toughest Mexican gang I've come across in prison, and you talk about the ABs, they're all killers. And when you're friendly with them, who's going to bother you?
Hope you're enjoying the podcast. As a word from my sponsor, NordVPN. As many of you know, I am inundated with links from hackers and cyber bandits trying to steal my channel. I've lost it twice, actually. But now with NordVPN, with just one click, I am safe. There are so many attacks out there that Nord protects you from, half of which I've never even heard of before. You got the man-in-the-middle attack. You're at a cafe. You think you're using the free Wi-Fi. Boom! They steal your sensitive data. You've got phishing. You've got password attacks. You've got DDoS. Yes, I got one of them. They tried to shut down my live stream. We've got malware. We've got malvertising. We've got ransomware. And also, if you want to watch something overseas, my documentary of Sammy the Bull is coming out in January in America. Guess where my VPN will be set at? There's nothing worse than a VPN that slows you down, but NordVPN is the fastest VPN out there. You can get an exclusive NordVPN deal plus 4 months extra here at my link /nordvpn.com/Attwood, ATT Wood. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Link is in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. Again, it's /nordvpn.com Attwood, ATT Wood. Cheers.
You know,
Yeah, I knew a guy called Long Island. He said he played chess with you. I think it was in Supermax through the talking through the doors, and you used to draw your
yep,
movements and stuff
yep,
like that.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
What did you think? What did you think about the food in Sheriff Joe Arpaio's jail?
Oh, it was horrible. Do you know that was you get a piece of white bread and a piece of rye bread, and who had like the what do you call that mole on it? So you had to cut it off before. It was horrible. I had a meeting with him not too long ago, and you know it was. It is what it is. It was a tough time. I remember if it was 110 or 115 outside, it was 125 inside. They'd give you a salt pill. I'd see guys sitting on a thing and just keel over. They dried out. So you had to drink a lot of water, eat the salt. The pink underwear, they're trying to humiliate you. It didn't bother me. I didn't give a shit what color my underwear was or the T-shirt or anything like that. So I don't know. It was tough. I mean, but I got through that, and I got through almost 20 years of it straight. I got 22 years in prisons. I get along in prison. I don't like it. I hate it, but I get along. I don't try to bully anybody or do anything like that. But if you're gonna fuck with me, I'm going the whole route. That was my reputation in prison. But when you courteous to people and you're not really trying to bother them. I remember one time there was a priest in there who told me about some stuff that priests do. And I said, listen, get away from me. And he started arguing with me. And I slapped him. And the guy grabbed me. My lawyer came in, found out about it. He said, Sammy, are you crazy? I said, why? He said, you're going to hit a priest? It's going to come out in the paper. They're going to think you're completely out of your mind. I said, bro, this guy's a stone degenerate. I don't care if he's a priest. He's a stone degenerate. He's talking bullshit to me. And I told him to get away from me, and he wouldn't. So there's all kinds of stories in prison and shit, you know. I mean, there's all kinds of weirdos. And there's a lot of good guys in there, too. So I try to play cards or play balls. They could be dangerous guys, but they were normal. You could talk to them, you could play cards with them, you could joke, you could laugh. But some guys you just can't. They're just, and not that they belong in, but they belong in prison, I think. They're just bent. So that was my thing in all those years. But I made it through. I didn't think I would because I do have a little bit of a temper and I'm ready to go. So I figured sooner or later I'm going to get, jammed up. Especially when I got a reputation like that. Guys, if they were going to have a fight with me, they're going to try to hurt me because they think I'm going to come back. But it worked the opposite. They said, this guy ain't a bad guy. We could play cards with him. We could do whatever. And it was always me and the guys, really the rough guys, who were against the system more than each other. Sometimes the system makes you tighter because we're going through the same thing. Me and you are in an area. We're eating that same shit food and the same conditions. And before you know it, we're getting tight, even if we didn't even know each other. So that's what happened with me. I filled in with people like that, and I did my time, minded my business.
How's your family? How did they, like now? Not back then. I know they probably went through hell. You in America. They weren't in America at that time when you got arrested, did they?
They came out and visited me. I flew 5,000 miles every year. I was blessed to have such good family. And, when you first see your mom, she's been stood outside trying to get into Towers jail for hours. She's talking to all the Mexican families and they're telling her, all the sad stories, what they're going through. And her heart was just breaking hearing these stories. And then you're trying to get in. They got these redneck guards yelling at you, and they got the sniffer dogs, and they're patting everybody down. And then you see your mom. First time, my biggest fear was they were going to find out about what I've been doing. My parents. You get called to visitation, and your mom's just crumpled up over a visitation table. and she looks like she's aged 10 years because of your fucked up behavior, causing all this stress on her. It just fucking broke my heart, man, to see my mom, to put my mom in that position. It's you know, and I still feel sick to my stomach to this day because they did have my back. You know, I planned it that if I got arrested, my mates would have money. I flew people over from the UK, put money in their names. They would use that. I wouldn't have to fall back on my parents. The cops had the Department of Justice put a virus in my computer, NetBus Trojan horse, which showed them all the money. So they seized that as soon as I was arrested. So when I had to make that call and tell my family, you know, what I'd done, and I needed a lawyer because those New Mexican mafia guys, they told me, they schooled me in etiquette, and they said, look, Shaun, if the shit ever really hits the fan, get Alan Simpson. He's a loophole lawyer, but he's expensive. He's 50 grand down. And my parents, they had to remortgage their house because I'm not from a wealthy family. And they had business plans, and they were getting in retirement, and they were going to open a business, a walking business, and all that was sacrificed so they could get a lawyer, because if they hadn't, facing 200 years, there's quite a chance I'd still be in prison right now, because I learned in America you get what justice you can afford. So yeah, to answer your question, I just feel so lucky and so blessed. I saw people repeatedly getting involved in drugs, and the families would just disown them. And my sister, she came to see me as well. She had to have counseling. My mum had a nervous breakdown over the whole situation. And sadly, my sister, she had a daughter who was born with leukemia at age 1. She had chemotherapy, which saved her life. But now, over 10 years later, her kid's having hundreds of seizures every week. My sister's up every night watching her. They've got to have medical people coming over once or twice a week so my sister can sleep. So yeah, she's going through a lot, man. But yeah, that's how we're doing.
It's hard on the families, Shaun, but hearing you talk, they're lucky to have you for a son, because there's a lot of guys who go into prison, put their families through that, and they don't give a.
And it comes
you too care, and you're lucky to have you. You're a good man.
And it comes through on the documentary. I mean, you're definitely lucky. A lot of people, a lot of families fall apart after things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, the documentary, your mother and father, and just to see that dynamic of you guys talking and what they went through, because people don't realize when you get in trouble and you commit crimes and you go to prison, you don't just hurt yourself, you hurt everyone around you.
Yep.
And you destroy everything around you. It's
But,
like a wrecking ball.
But they're lucky to have you, that you really care about what you did, and that's part of it. It's good for them, and it's good for you. And it's good for me to hear that, because you're a good man. Period. I know you don't have to go further, or anybody else hearing it, they're going to see it, they'll know it. And that's what fucking prison is. That's what it does. Not only to a tough guy, to anybody, and to their families and everybody else. So I hope that listening to this conversation, part of the conversation, I hope it helps a lot of people to understand what prison's about. It's not just you sitting in a fucking prison cell. It's about people who are waiting and choking to death listening to the shit that you're going through. So my hat's off to you, bro.
Appreciate that. And there's one more thing then to go over them, if you guys have got to go. Something that did stress my family out was, as I was rising up the ranks on YouTube, I helped a few guys out, and these guys turned against me, and they basically said I'd made